Welcome back to another episode of Married Now Widowed. We're your hosts. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nadine, and this podcast is about navigating life after loss through unfiltered conversations.
This episode, we have a special guest with us, G.
Yes, we do. Hi, G.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for coming on to share your story. So let's get straight into it.
Yeah.
Now, this is a friend of Nadine's. So do you want to talk about how you guys know each other?
Yes. So G and I met through a mutual friend of ours. Our daughters are actually in the same school. So they were in primary school together, and then they had high school orientation. Yeah. And our mutual friend wanted to introduce me to G. Yes. And vice versa.
Obviously, because you're both widows, right?
That's right. Yeah. So, we met, we connected, and we hit it off from there. Yeah. So our girls are in high school together. They're in, same classes. Yeah. And they're friends as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But one of the reasons obviously that our mutual friend wanted to connect the two of us together is because 2 months before Mick passed away, G's husband also passed away from cancer.
Yeah. Oh, from cancer too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What type of cancer did he have?
Brain cancer.
Brain cancer.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And how long did he have cancer for before he passed away?
Under a year.
Under a year.
Yeah.
So quite quickly, like Mick.
Mick.
Well.
Yeah, that's
Our
right.
stories are very similar.
Yeah. Wow.
Our husbands were both the same age.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They both had cancer.
Wow.
They both got diagnosed 2 months apart from each other.
Wow.
Our girls are the same age as well.
And you obviously
year.
didn't know each other at all before.
Nope.
No.
Nothing.
Hadn't even seen each other.
Our girls knew each other because they went to they were in primary school together.
Yeah, right.
Same class in
Same
year
class.
5.
Okay.
Yeah. So they knew each other.
Yeah.
They obviously knew that, their fathers had passed.
Right,
so,
right.
But
and that's not often, right? Especially at that age that you get two kids, same class, both have,
that's right.
Lost their fathers, both
That's
from
exactly
cancer.
right.
Wow, okay.
And G lives like 5 minutes away from me.
Oh, cool. Oh, awesome. That's fantastic.
So, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
So why did you want to bring G onto the podcast?
So, obviously because, G's also a widow and she can relate. And, we had discussed, you and I, bringing other widows onto the podcast.
Yeah.
However, Kayla and I, when we do our podcasts, we always go in with a topic that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, we have a whole list of topics and we'll pick what topic we're going to talk about. We'll go in and we'll record.
Yeah.
And there was a topic on there that was preying upon vulnerable widows.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for G, she was preyed upon.
Okay.
And so I thought it would, be a good idea to bring G on, not only share her experience about like losing her husband, but also for her to share her story.
Of course.
About how she, tried to move forward in her life.
Yes.
And how that all planned out.
Yeah.
So,
and that's like a double thing, right? First of all, it's hard enough trying to move forward, and then to have something happen is like makes really hard. Yeah.
And so I also think by sharing her story, we have a lot of widows that listen to our podcast. Yeah. And I just thought, by sharing her story, a lot of people can just be careful, or
and G will definitely not be the only one that has 100%. Been preyed upon. That's and has That's exactly so I'm sure a lot of people will have their own stories as well.
Definitely.
Okay, all right, let's get straight into it. So let's maybe start with like, how long were you and your husband together for, and how many children do you have? Let's get into like a bit more about your husband. And
yeah, sure. So we met in 2007.
Yep.
Pretty much hit it off. It started as a friendship.
Yeah.
our mutual friend at the time, it was his surprise birthday party.
Okay.
So I didn't know he had another friend that was also the same nationality as me.
Right.
So when we met, it was very brief, and he was such a smart ass to me. I'll never forget that. And I was like, I don't like him. He's such a smart ass. And anyway, the following week was my birthday. It was my 25th. And my friend rang me, was like, oh, I'm going to bring, Aikut along. Is that okay? I was like, yeah, sure. Because I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
And then I had a masquerade party. So again, I didn't know he had interest in me.
Right.
So he went to this beautiful masquerade shop in Leichhardt and brought a masquerade to go with the theme.
Yeah.
So very smart.
Yeah.
And then he came to my birthday with my friend and his partner at the time, not my husband's partner, my friend's partner.
Yeah.
Still didn't think anything of it. And then a couple of days after my birthday party, my friend rings again. He's like, oh, what are you doing this Friday? I was like, what are you up to?
Yeah.
I know what you're doing. He's like, oh, no, I think you two will hit it off. And, he's separated, he's getting divorced because my husband was married before we met. 2 kids as well. And I spoke too big. I was like, no, he's got 2 kids.
Yeah.
Not interested.
Yeah.
He's going through a divorce. I'm 25 and he's 11 years older than me, mind you.
Yeah.
So anyway, went out to dinner, hit it off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
2 years later, got married.
Yeah. Wow.
Following year, had our daughter.
Yeah.
And 14 years we were married.
Wow, 14 years. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. And what happened with him being diagnosed? Was there signs? Was he unwell? How did you find out that he had cancer?
Honestly, back then when it first happened, I didn't see any signs.
Okay.
But thinking about it today, absolutely I saw some signs, which was pretty much feeling nauseous.
Okay.
The sweats at night.
Yeah.
I remember the morning before he had a seizure. So it was the first lockdown of COVID when our kids were at home for 2 months.
Yeah.
It was the first day back at school. And my husband woke up and he's like, I don't feel well. He threw up, I remember that.
Okay.
And I said, don't go to work. He's like, I have to go to work because stock take. So he went to work and then we were messaging, calling each other throughout the day because that's what we do.
Yeah.
And then I'll never forget, it was 1:15 p.m. His manager rings me and it was such a bizarre moment. I will never forget that time and day. He said my name like fluently because my nickname is G, so that's not my actual name.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I know this voice.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, hang on, it's my husband's manager. Why is he ringing me?
Yeah.
How did he get my number?
Yeah.
All these things are going through my head. And he's like, look, we've called the ambulance. Aikut's had a seizure.
Far out.
And I was like, what? No, he didn't have a seizure.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then he was like, I think they're going to take him to Randwick Hospital because it was the closest because my husband was working at Botany at the time.
Right.
So I remember, because I was working from home, trying to find my house keys, my car keys. They're right there. But
frantic, right?
I was just frantic. It was so bad. Finally got to the hospital. They didn't allow me to go in straight away because they were doing some tests on him. So CTs, blood tests and so forth. And then I finally got to saw him probably an hour and a half later. And as soon as I walked into emergency and they opened up the curtains, I just looked at him and half his face was just bruised. There was blood. So when he had his seizure, and because it's concrete ground, he just went bang, straight down.
Yeah.
So, and then my husband doesn't cry.
Yeah.
I think I've seen him cry maybe 2 or 3 times in the 14 years we were together.
Right.
And then, of course, I started crying because I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Of course.
Haven't seen a doctor yet. So anyway, the emergency doctor comes and sees me. He was like, oh, has he complained of any headaches? And I was like, no, he hasn't been feeling well. Like, just been feeling nauseous and stuff like that and cold sweats. And
Yeah.
he was like, well, what we can see in the CT is that he's got a mass on the back of the left side of his brain.
Right.
Mm.
And I just looked at him and I thought, a mass? I go, what do you mean a mass?
Yeah.
It was like, possibly a tumour.
Wow.
And then instantly I felt like someone poured boiling water over my head
Yeah.
because I thought, oh my God, it's his brain.
And that's the thing, right? Like, you'll never forget that moment
Ever.
when the doctors tell you
Yeah.
that, you know, it's cancer or it's a tumor or
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
heart sinks.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And you just go into this survival mode,
Of
right?
course.
You think, okay, snap out of it.
Give me the facts.
Give me the facts and
yeah.
then let's do more tests and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
That's how we are. But then can you imagine how they're feeling
No,
when they're
I
being told
can't.
that?
Yeah.
And my husband is a very proud man.
Yeah.
You know, he will not show emotions to anyone except obviously me because I'm
Yeah.
his wife.
Yeah.
And then, mind you, I haven't rang anyone yet. The only person I rang when I left my house to go to the hospital was my neighbour because I was like, someone's got to pick up my daughter from school.
Of
Right.
course.
So I rang her. I was like, this is what happened. Don't ask me questions. Please pick up my daughter for me.
Yeah.
I go, don't tell anyone
Yeah.
because I don't know
Yeah, you
what's
don't
going
know
on.
That's right,
Right. So anyway, and he said the blood test results came back as he's had a seizure. And I'm like, a seizure?
Yeah.
I'm thinking a stroke because he was a bit of a stress head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, so I'm trying to absorb all this information that they're saying to me, right?
course.
And then they said, we need to do an MRI as well in the next, few hours. And he was very disorientated at this time because when you have a seizure, it also resets your brain.
Right.
So you have no recollection or memory of what happened when you've had that seizure.
Right.
So he's like looking around thinking, where am I?
Yeah.
Anyway, and then they cleaned him up. Thank God. These doctors and nurses, they were amazing. And they immediately found a room for him, checked him in. And then they did the scans. And that's when I pretty much rang my mum. I was like, Mum, this is what's happened. Can you please go home to my house, get my daughter?
Had they confirmed it was cancer at that
Not
point?
yet.
Okay.
And then I had to make the 2 hard phone calls, which was to my husband's sister and his best friend. So I did that and then finally went up to the ward, made sure he was comfortable, and they did the MRI, but obviously because it was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, had to wait the following day to see the doctor with the results. So the following day, woke up, went straight to the hospital. The doctors came and saw us, a surgeon, and said there is a tumour that is about 7 centimetres in the back of the left side of your brain,
Wow.
and just pretty much said, I would like to operate in 2 weeks' time, but, it's up to you, gave us that choice. And my husband agreed, where I was just like, what? A tumour? And then I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, they're going to cut a section like of the skull out, go into your brain. Like, this is your brain,
Yeah.
right? And he told us all the side effects that could happen,
Yeah.
which was pretty much losing eyesight, dyslexia, memory loss. 2 weeks later, the surgery happened, which took about, he checked in probably 6:30 a.m. I didn't see him till 10 o'clock at night.
Wow. Yeah.
It was a long day
Yeah.
of just anxiety,
Yeah. Of course.
just sitting there and waiting. He was in hospital for about a month. He ended up having all those side effects, unfortunately.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yep. From that day forward, could not work at all, couldn't drive. And then they came back with the results and they said it is benign, but we still want to do chemo and radiation because they couldn't get the whole tumour out because it was embedded in his brain, it was calcified.
Right.
Right.
So they only took out, I think it was 60%.
Okay.
Anyway, rehab, did all that. He came home And then we started treatments. And then one day...
So they wanted to do chemo and radiation even...
They wanted to try to shrink that tumour down.
Right.
So apparently that tumour was there for like over 20 years.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. Over 20 years. Yeah. And I used to look at my husband and think he's an ox. He would not get sick and take Panadol or have migraines. And if he did get sick, it was be in bed for a couple of days and wake up like nothing has happened.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then I think it was August 2020, the left side of his face dropped. And I thought, oh my God, did he have a stroke?
Yeah.
And then we did an emergency MRI. They found another tumour on the right side of the brain.
Oh, wow.
Right on top here, right? Another surgery at Renwick. But this tumour is the one that killed him. So it's called glioblastoma. Even though they took the whole thing out, because this tumour is very branchy,
Right.
it pretty much went into his brain, his cells, you name it. Then they gave us the bad news in that little room, pretty much saying, we're so sorry, it's stage 4, it's glioblastoma. And I asked the question, I said, so how long has he got left? And then the doctor turned around and goes, 6 months to a year. And my husband at that time, he's not comprehending
What's going on
because his brain's already been affected from all the chemo, surgeries, radiation. Like imagine radiation to your brain, guys, what it does to you. It fries your brain.
Yeah.
And my husband changed anyway. He wasn't himself, that talkative guy. He couldn't even make coffee or tea for himself.
Yeah.
Anyway, I remember.
Was he there when they gave him the prognosis?
Yeah. But the only thing that really got him was that he couldn't drive again. I looked at him and I'm thinking, I don't think he understood what the doctor said. And I thought, okay, I didn't keep going on because I thought, nah, I was in such shock where we got in the car, went home, and I thought.
And was no chemo at that point?
They did chemo and radiation again.
Okay.
So he's had 2 sets of chemo, which was the tablet form.
Yeah.
The radiation obviously was Monday to Friday. And in that meantime, mind you, I'm working full time.
So after they gave the prognosis, he still went through chemo and radiation. And at
just
that
to
point,
prolong it.
Yeah. So that was just to prolong his life.
That's right.
Right. Okay. But it was still 6 to 12 months at that. Okay.
And I remember going home and he was sleeping a lot back then. Like he was tired. And I looked at, our 3 kids and I thought, how am I going to tell them that their dad's going to die?
Yeah.
He's dying.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things.
How do you do it? How do you tell your kids? This is what the doctor said and that's it.
Yeah.
And I remember I rang my best friend. I was like, babe, he's going to die. This is what they said. I was just shocked. I didn't know what to think, what to believe. I just was numb. I was numb. And I thought all that, hard work of making sure they're going to be okay and doing all these natural remedies as well at the same time as, the Western medicine.
Yeah, because you don't give up.
You don't give up, right?
You latch onto any bit of hope.
Exactly. So I still soldiered on. And then I think it was February or March, he ended up getting another seizure, but it's called an absent seizure where you're not fitting, but they're also not talking to you.
Right.
They can't talk. They're just like, their eyes start to twitch and they don't know where they are. So he got admitted into hospital, and I remember the palliative care nurse said to me, you need to tell your youngest. And I was like, how? She's only 10 years old. Like, my other 2 kids, they're not my biological kids, they're my stepkids, but to me they're my children.
Yeah. You have a
They're
great
adults.
relationship.
Yeah, I do. They're great kids. I said, they're adults. One, you know.
It's hard to tell them,
Let alone
and they're older, let alone a 10-year-old.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, you got to find a way of telling her. And I was like, I don't know how. How do I tell my youngest?
And they do that. The nurses do encourage you to tell your children. And
it sucks.
It does, because you're like, it's easier said than done. Like, you know.
And I never forget that day where I had to sit my daughter down on our couch, and I just looked at her and I said, babes, we got to talk. She's like, okay, what's wrong? I was like, Dad's not getting any better. Poor kid. She was like, no, Dad's fine. He's going to be fine. Because she's idolized her dad. She loved her dad so much. I reckon she loved him more than me, to be quite honest with you. They had a great relationship.
Yeah.
It was like, never seen a father and daughter relationship like that in my life. And I'm not saying it because it's my daughter and my husband, but it was such a beautiful relationship. Maybe because she was the baby and he thought, oh, she's the baby, my last child. Anyway, and I sat her down. I was like, I don't know how to say this, but Dad's not going to be with us for long. And she looked at me. She's like, what do you mean? I go, the doctors pretty much said that, you know, he's got 6 to 12 months. And this is now, we're on our 6th month when I told her. It took me 6 months to tell her.
Wow.
Because I just could not find a way of telling her, your dad's going to pass away. And I remember her just tearing up and bawling her eyes out. And all I could do was hug her and comfort her. And that's it. Like, there was nothing else I could do. I can't say it's going to be okay, because it's not. I can't predict the future. Till this day, it has affected her a lot.
Of
not
course.
having her father around.
Yeah.
And then 2 months later, he passed away at home.
At home?
Yeah, we did palliative care at home.
Wow.
Because that's what he wanted. He hated the hospital after that, because he did go in a few times, in and out.
Yeah.
And I respected his wishes. I was like, yep. And you know what? When you, at that time, I couldn't be at 2 places at once. Yep. I couldn't be at the hospital and then be at my daughter's aid as well. Like, then I was thinking, what if I leave the hospital and he passes away by himself?
Yeah.
I would not forgive myself for that.
No, you wouldn't.
No, I couldn't do it. So I thought, you know what? At home, let's do this.
Yeah.
And it happened literally, he was bedridden on Friday and then he passed away by Monday morning.
Wow.
And he passed away, took his last breath when our daughter, our youngest, left the house.
Oh, wow.
He waited for her to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And this was all medicated and it was relatively easy for him, and it was,
I was hoping he was comfortable, because my husband's niece is a registered nurse.
Okay.
She was with me all the way in those 4 days.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Because the night before he was bedridden is when the nurses came, because he already had a hospital bed at home downstairs.
Yeah.
They were teaching me how to inject morphine and all this stuff into my husband. And I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, I've got to do this, right? So when she was there helping me, I was so forever grateful, because she knows what she's doing. It's her job.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Me, no matter how prepared you think you are, you're not.
Oh, you'll never be
Absolutely.
prepared for that. You can never prepare yourself for that.
I couldn't prepare myself. I was a zombie for 4 days.
Yeah.
I will never forget those 4 days. Oh, honey.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I get it. I'm surprised I'm not bawling my eyes out right now.
I mean, I get that he wanted to go home and live out his last days at home, but it's just strong of you to be able
100%.
to,
Yeah.
and I know you wanted to do what he wanted to do, but I remember when my husband, when they gave us the option of taking him home, I remember saying to my brother-in-law, no.
Yeah.
Nobody even suggests it. There's no way. There is no way I can do that. Not a chance. So
See, I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, because they do, when you're in palliative care, they give you that option whether you want to stay in the hospital, they'll look after you, or whether you want to go home.
Yeah.
And they also gave us that option, and Mick was alert at the time.
Yeah.
And so he said, no, I want to go home.
Yeah.
But by that end of that night, he couldn't walk.
Yeah.
He couldn't. And I'm like, how am I going to
that's
go
what
home and look after
worries
him?
me, because they think they want to go home and my husband would have done the same. Like he wanted to go. If we gave him the option, he would have been up and ready. And I was like, no way, no way. Because there's no way I could have, like those 3 weeks in the hospital, and especially the few nights prior to him passing, I could not have done that at home. No way.
Yeah.
So that's like, wow.
Yeah, it's very strong of
very
you, to be
strong,
honest, 'cause,
very
Not a
strong.
lot of people can
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
No, like, look.
And
when
another thing, like telling your daughter as well. I didn't tell my kids anything until he passed. Like they knew he was sick, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. So the fact that you actually sat her down and did that, like that was so strong of you
Massive.
to do.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know. I just thought 6 months has passed. I've got to say something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told the 2 older kids pretty much as soon as we found out.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because they were adults at the time, is that right?
Yeah.
One was 18 and one was 21.
Oh, okay. So,
So,
they're well
you know,
aware.
yeah, that's right. And
To be fair, I got told 2 days before. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It hadn't sunk in for myself,
you,
let
yeah.
alone sit them down and tell them.
Yeah.
Like,
I was on autopilot and soldier
and that's what happens to you, right?
mode,
You do.
to be
You just-
quite frank with you.
Yeah.
I was just like, nah, do it, because all that responsibility that we shared together was on my shoulders.
Absolutely.
So I had no choice but to be strong
yeah.
for
And
him
that's what
and the
people don't
kids.
realize. What people don't realize is that it actually starts way before they pass away.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
before.
Way before
Yeah,
they
way
pass
before.
away. You lose them way before they die.
Well, you know what? I wanted to touch on that, right? Because you mentioned that, and I've spoken about that in a previous podcast episode. And I think that is, you won't understand unless you're probably
Going
their
through it.
wife, because you have to be pretty close and in constant communication to understand how heartbreaking it is when they're still alive, but they're just not them
Not there,
anymore.
yeah.
And people come and visit and think, oh, they're great. You know, they're up, they're, you know, saying hello, they're eating something, they're whatever. But you've already lost them and you already
That's right.
know that, you know. And I remember, I don't know how much detail I went in the other episode, but I'll never forget coming home from the hospital just to pack some stuff to go back. And I was just so angry at him because I'm like I need to talk to you with the stuff I want to tell
spoke
you.
about
Like we
that.
haven't, and you're
We
not
had a whole
like
list,
you're
remember?
Yeah, literally I had a list of things like this person
Houses,
said this at the
pools.
hospital and I can't wait to tell you, right?
Yeah.
And it was like I was furious because I was like, okay, come back to normal now. Like chill out on the meds, you know, take less morphine and get back because we need to
we
talk.
need to talk.
You know, I've got
Yeah.
stuff to say. And it's like so heartbreaking.
We went into detail.
Yeah.
We actually went into detail
That
in a
episode,
previous
I laughed a lot.
Yeah, because that part, like, people just don't understand that.
I think people think that because you're there at the hospital from morning till night and that you're sitting next to them, it's normal. You can have a normal conversation when in fact you can't.
Yeah,
You can't.
and they're just not themselves anymore. And you've already started to mourn that person,
That's
even
right.
though they're
Grieving
still there.
That's right.
Right?
Pretty much May 26th.
There you go.
2021 till he passed away, which was May 2000.
There you go.
And No,
21.
sorry. 2020 May, and then the following year in May 2021.
Yeah.
I lost my husband already.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Conversations
right.
were not flowing. And
exactly.
my husband and I would always talk, and we had a lot to talk about.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. That's right. Your
Constantly.
best friend.
Yeah,
Our
you
kids are
share
sleeping.
everything
Yeah, our
together.
kids are still sleeping because kids, as you know, they'll sleep until like 10, 11.
Yeah.
And would be outside on our second coffee.
That's right.
And just smoking away,
Exactly.
talking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like that was our thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And like now, ever since he passed away, I miss that.
Of course. Yeah.
Like I miss him
Yeah.
talking. It's so hard. And
Yeah.
people just don't understand at all until you've lived through it. They have no idea waking up, looking to, you know, I slept on the right side of the bed. Thank you, babe. And he was on the left. I wake up still till this day and look on my left and go, he's not here. He's gone. There was even times I picked up the phone trying to call him. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
Trying to call him. So anything that good happens, good news, I want to share it with him. I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm having a bad day, he knew from my tone of voice
Yeah.
I was having a bad day, and I would come home and he's got a bunch of flowers for me.
Yeah.
Because they know you.
He knows me. He knows I love flowers. And like, I'm not a materialistic person, but you buy me flowers, oh my God, I
Yeah.
will love you forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm that gal.
Yeah.
Flowers.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm very simple. So, and he just, I miss that.
Yeah. Of course. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's just like, it's really difficult no matter how you look at it, moving, you know, after they've passed and trying to move forward with your life. It's always going to be difficult. You're always going to think of them. You're always going to, you know, remember them, that they'll never leave your mind.
Babe,
Yeah.
not a day goes past. I don't
Yeah.
think
Of
of him.
course.
Of course,
Yeah.
of
It's
course.
a forever
Not a
thing.
day.
It is a forever
Yeah,
thing.
it's
And,
forever.
you
That's
know,
it.
people, you're allowed to smile, you're allowed to laugh, you're allowed, because you're only human, right? Like,
That's
Yeah.
right.
but yeah, it'll just be something that will sting you for the rest of your life.
It's traumatic.
Yeah.
Very.
So where are you at now?
Now,
Yeah.
clearly I'm still not over it. I don't think I'll ever get over it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ever.
you're never going to get over something like that.
You won't. It's end of the day, your husband, when you get married, it's your forever person,
Yeah.
right? You build dreams and the future together. You
That's
have
right.
children, and then it goes like that.
Yeah.
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 I remember after his passing, I was so busy that month, obviously dealing with the estates,
That's
going to
right.
the banks and doing all this stuff. It's that after month, it hit me
Yeah.
and my daughter as well, because the household's so busy. And then it was a COVID, again, second lockdown.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's when it was like, okay, 4 months, guys, stay at home. You can't leave 5 kilometres
Yeah.
out of your LGA and all that crap. So, look, I'm forever grateful that it happened before the lockdown.
Yeah.
Like, I think of you all the time, Nadine, and I think, how the fuck did she do it?
Yeah.
I would have lost it.
Yeah.
I would have lost
You know,
my shit. 10 people at a funeral. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's devastating.
Till this day is something that I don't think I will ever get over.
No.
We've spoken about this, I think, you know, in a previous podcast. Yeah. That was really difficult.
Yeah.
But the lockdown, I feel like I needed it just because I got to be at home with my children and I wasn't forced to do anything. I think if we weren't in lockdown, I think I would have gone back to work a lot sooner just because I needed to be busy.
Absolutely.
And I probably would have just thrown my grief in a box and just, you know, gone back to work and just got along with life because I didn't want to think about it. But I don't know. I feel like it forced me to stay at home, be with my children, be there for my children. And And so, but then towards the end of it, I was kind of losing my mind because I was like, I need to go back to work. I need to be busy. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
So,
well, the thing is, like, now we're the only ones, the only parent to look after our children. So you have no choice but to get up, work, make sure there's a roof over our heads, clothes on their back, and there's food on the table.
Yeah.
So what choice did we have? We had to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still working, and thank God I'm working. Imagine I wasn't working. I was a housewife.
I know.
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. I think about widows who have lost their husband and, you know, they're a housewife and they're at home and they've got young babies that they're looking after. And
hard.
It is so hard. It is so hard because, like, they have to at some point think about how they're going to, you know, get back into work and make money to support their children, and it's extremely difficult.
Yeah.
I did meet someone years ago. She lost her husband. He had a heart attack in the swimming pool with his 3 children in the pool with him.
Oh my gosh.
And then he drowned. She said to me, work. Don't ever give up working.
Yeah.
She goes, I didn't work for 15 years. I've lost my house now. I have to go live with my mother.
Poor thing.
She goes, please work. She goes, I have no qualifications behind me.
Poor thing.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
And I remember coming home telling my husband that, but I didn't know it was going to knock on my door as well, like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's unbelievable.
I highly recommend all women, you need to work.
Yes,
you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah,
honestly.
so true.
Yeah.
You have to be independent, not because, you know, you're a woman, don't rely on your men.
Yeah.
No, you just don't know what's going to happen.
That's right. That's exactly
you
right.
You don't. Like, look what happened to us. Imagine we weren't working, guys.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
We'll have to go live with our parents
and
or, I don't know, go on benefits and then try to go to TAFE or college or something.
And there's nothing wrong with, like, benefits and, you know, the government helping you, but, you know, sometimes it's not enough.
It's not enough.
And especially with, like, you know, how we're living today.
Yeah.
It's just...
If you have a mortgage and you have whatever, you're screwed.
It's not enough.
And financial hardship is obviously so difficult. Mixed with grief is like the
absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah,
just thinking about, you know, after their passing, when it really hits you, you're like, how am I going to do this by myself?
Yeah.
But God gives you strength.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's true.
Definitely,
so true.
You just do it.
Yeah.
And you don't even think about it. You just do it. Like, I'm not that kind of person that sits there and goes, well done, G.
Yeah,
you did
that's
it.
right.
No,
You don't even think about it. You have to.
You just
especially
do it.
when you have children
as
well.
That's right.
Absolutely. You make sure your children are okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Always.
That's
before it comes
one.
to you. But you know what I've learned? You got to take care of yourself first before you
of
take care of
course.
your children.
That is so important.
Because if you're happy, your kids are happy.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it? I tell her that all the time because if you think I'm on the go and I'm nonstop, this one over here is also on the go and is also nonstop. And I remember I said to her once, Kayla, you need to take one day, okay, where your son is in school, you have no appointments, just block out your schedule, your working schedule, and take the day to yourself.
Absolutely.
Go get a massage. Even if you don't want to do anything and you just want to sit in bed and watch Netflix, you need to look after yourself. Oh, babe. I don't know. Babe, I can't do that. What do you mean? Babe, no. I can't do that.
I've ever done that.
You did it once.
Ever. Did I?
It was a Monday, remember?
I thought we filmed that day.
No, we film Fridays.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a Monday.
Well, must have been that good. I don't remember.
You got a massage. Yeah, you were so excited for it. And I was like, yes, she's doing it. She's listening. I don't know if it happened after that.
No, definitely not.
Try to do at least one day a month to yourself.
I said that to her. I said, just take one day a month where you don't have
you want to do.
Because listen, like, yes, you're working. Okay, I get that. But Hayda's in school and, you know, it's just that one day where you kind of don't have any responsibility but yourself. You just need to look after yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember when she did it, she was like, I'm so excited. The day of, the morning of, and the lead up to it. You were just like, oh my God.
Having a day kid and work free is wild to me. Like, wow. That's,
It's like that. Trust me, just do it.
Mm.
You got to look after yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay. So let's get into the next chapter.
Yeah. So
Get the popcorn ready.
where do we start? Where do you?
So tell us. So G met somebody.
Okay. Which is so
It's
fantastic in itself,
of
right?
course. But coming off of our last week's episode where we spoke about moving forward, right? So you met somebody. We'll let you tell your story.
Yeah.
Okay. Nadine already knows my daughter has juvenile arthritis, right? And unfortunately, she's had this for many, many years. It's not going to go away. There's no cure for it, right? And it ate away at her right ankle joints, the arthritis. So she was booked in for surgery and she was on a wait list. So it was 12-month wait list. And then she's also with NDIS because I need the help.
Yeah.
Anyway, got introduced to someone. I met him last year. Didn't think anything of it. And then 2 months later, I get the call saying, yep, this is the date your daughter's booked in.
For surgery?
For surgery, which was the 27th of November, 2023. And my girlfriend at the time was like, oh my God, I'm going to give him a nickname.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mr.
We're
White.
not dropping any names.
We're not dropping
White.
names. I've named him Mr. White. And
Okay,
you'll
done.
understand why I say Mr. White. Anyway, she's like, oh my God, Mr. White, he's a provider for NDIS. I was like, yeah, can you help me? Because at that time I needed a occupational therapist to come over, assess my daughter, assess my house. So if I need modifications done, it gets done. Right. And then I tried to do this on my own, but the wait list was 3 months. I'm thinking, I've got 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Her surgery's in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, right? And the way the surgeon explained it to me that, it's major surgery because she's going to have screws and plates and so forth in her ankle.
Yeah.
She's going to be in a cast for about 3 months or something and then be in a moon boot for the following couple of months after that. So it's a 1 year recovery.
Wow. Yeah.
And she's like, oh my God, Mr. White. I was like, oh my God, please ring. So I'm desperate now.
And it's always easier when someone knows someone.
course.
Like they put in a word and you're like, okay,
Absolutely.
great. Let's get
Yeah.
the ball rolling.
For sure.
So she rang her, ex-husband at the time. And he's like, oh, can Mr. White help her? He's like, yeah, I can ask. I'm not joking. 3 minutes later, my phone rings. It's a number and I'm like, okay. So I pick it up. It's him. And he said my name, my name is Gökshan, right? And for you to say that
can't
properly.
say her name.
Yeah.
I just say G.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
I get it. And I was like, oh, this guy must be Turkish. Because
Yeah.
he said my name perfectly. He's like, it's Mr. White. I was like, oh, hey, how are you, blah, blah, blah. I met him once for probably half an hour 2 months prior to that, right?
Right.
He was like, blah, 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 rang me. I'm happy to help because I can come next week. I was like, oh, my God, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. So he rings me or messages me the following week and says, I'm going to come on this date, this time, blah, blah, blah. And at that time when he rang me to say, I'm in front of your house, I was already at my daughter's appointment, which is my local gym. Is where she gets her treatments done for physio. So we rush home. He comes out of the car with his occupational therapist. And my daughter looks at me. She's like, oh, Mum, he's got an AMG. Right? Kids. Okay, she's 13.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, Anyway, comes inside, chatting away. And what I found really odd.
Odd at the time or now looking back?
No, even at the time.
Okay.
Right? Because again, I didn't think anything of this person. Okay? He was showing photos of women to my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, saying,
Oh, yeah.
I'm dating these women. What do you think?
Okay, yeah.
Was that the first meeting?
Yes, that's the first time my daughter's meeting him. This is the second time I'm meeting him.
Red
right?
flag, for sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
it is.
Yeah.
But, G doesn't look at him in that way. But anyway.
Well, you didn't at the time.
No,
So
I didn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then my daughter turns around, and my daughter Nadine. She looks at him. She goes, "Are you a pedophile?"
She did not.
She did.
I love her. I love
She
her
did.
already.
And I just looked at my daughter. I was like, she goes, "What?" They're like 28 years old, Mum. He's 57.
Oh, she's so funny. I
Yeah.
love it.
Anyway, so we let, my daughter and the OT talk and do what they have to do. And Mr. White and I went outside and we were just chatting, and he was talking about these women he was dating. And I just said to him, "Why are you dating really young women?" Like, I don't get it. Do you seriously think they're in love with you? Like, come on.
Yeah.
There's a 30-year age gap.
Yeah.
You can't be that stupid to think they're going to be in love with you, okay? I said, you need to go, you need to be with women that are 40 plus or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, since your husband's passing, have you been on dates?" I said, "Well, I've got my first date this Saturday night." And he's like, "Really? Because how did you meet?" I said, finally I had the courage to do online dating.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, that's a bit dangerous, don't you think?" And I said, What do you mean?" I said, "I don't really go out. All I do is work, be with my daughter, and go to the gym. That's my life."
Yeah.
Right? And occasionally have dinner with my girlfriends.
Yeah.
That's it. And he's like, "Oh, it's dangerous. Please be careful. Make sure you share your location with your friends." So acting all,
Like he cares.
Very
he
caring,
cares, right?
yeah.
Anyway, I was like, yeah, whatever. And I got along with him. Don't get me wrong. Off he went. Goes, "I'll get the report done. I'll make sure everything gets sorted. I'm going to help you." This is pro bono. His exact words. Pro bono. What does that mean to you guys? Please.
On him. It's for free.
It's for free,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
In case people don't know what pro bono means, that's what it means.
Yeah.
More to come.
Anyway,
It's an important part of the story.
yeah. So this is now a Tuesday. Saturday comes. I'm working. I'm not going to disclose where I work. Anyway, it's my lunch break. And the date I was supposed to go on, he got really sick. And he rang me and he said, "I'm so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with me because I've been sweating all night with fevers. I don't want to get you sick." I said, "That's fine. Get better. We can reschedule. No big deal." And obviously I got a bit disappointed because I was like,
It's
your first date, right?
Yeah.
And I've already got my outfit ready
Yeah.
and I was going to go home. My daughter's at my mum's. Anyway, I ordered my food. I get a phone call from Mr. White. And I thought, oh, that's weird on a Saturday. So I pick up. He was like, "Hey, G." I was like, "Hey." He's like, "How are you?" "Good, good. I just wanted to wish you luck with your date tonight."
Wow.
And I said, "Oh," I go, "it's cancelled. All good." He's like, "What do you mean?" I go, "He's sick." He goes, "What are you doing tonight?" I said, "Well, nothing now.
Yeah.
I've got no backup plan. Like, hey,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
go. I've got someone else on the side."
Yeah.
No. He's like, "Well, do you want to go have dinner?" "Sure."
I've got the outfit
This is
ready.
perfect, isn't it? Just slipped right in. That was
Yeah.
beautiful
his
timing.
Mate, he
Yeah.
knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
When you think about it now,
Yeah.
when you and I were talking,
Yeah.
remember that night?
Yeah.
And we were like, wow, he's good.
Yeah. They
He's
usually
good.
are. They usually, yeah.
Anyway, so, and he lives about 25 minutes from my house, right?
Right.
And I live obviously closer to the city. And he said, have you been to Hemisphere? And I go, yeah. I go, Establishment Hemisphere? He's like, yeah. I go, yeah, of course I have. He's like, oh, or Mr. Wong's. I'm thinking, dude, I'm 41. I've been out.
Yeah, yeah.
My husband and I used to go out a lot.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like, I'm going to see if I can make reservations for, whichever one's available. So he rings me back and he's like, we'll invite our two mutual friends, which, they were husband and wife at the time. And I was like, yeah. So
and they were the ones that set up the whole NDIS,
though, isn't it?
Provider.
That's also great. I would have looked at that like a green flag, right? That he did that. You're like, awesome. It's comfortable now. I'm cool. Like that's fair. Yeah.
Because that was the plan. I was like, yeah, why not? And when they both, then my friend was okay with it at the time because obviously she didn't think anything of it. But her husband at the time rang me and he was like, I don't think it's a good idea.
Oh.
I was like, okay, why? I didn't think of it as a date. I just thought of it as
We're all
dinner.
going out.
We're all going to dinner, right?
Yeah.
Into town, Saturday night. Why
It's
not?
great, yeah.
And that's all he said to me. He goes, it's not a good idea. He goes, I'm not coming. Oh, okay. Hung up. And then Mr. White rang me. He's like, oh, he doesn't want to come. And I was like, okay. He goes, so maybe me, you, and our friend. I was like, oh, no, she's not going to come if he's not going to come. So I guess it's just, the two of us.
You didn't find out any further about why he didn't want to come?
No.
Okay.
He didn't say anything.
Okay.
I wish he did because obviously if he did, I would not have gone to dinner with him.
Okay.
Anyway, I finished my day. I went home, had a shower, got ready, and I live closer to the city, right? Because the freeway is just like right there. And he was like, oh, just drive to my house and just, leave your car there and we'll go mine. I was like, yeah, but I live closer to the city.
Yeah, come pick me up.
Come and get me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no. He goes, trust me. Blah, blah. I was like, all right, whatever. So I rock up to his house and he was in his car with his neighbour, Mr. White. So they just drove in. And then I remember him looking at me, but not in a way of we're friends. Does that make sense?
It was more than, he was flirting with you.
It was just
with his eyes.
Yeah, with his eyes and, looked up and down and he said,
Yeah,
you
of
look
course.
beautiful.
He was checking you out.
Yeah, you look beautiful.
Yeah.
And he knows how to talk.
He's smooth.
He's very
So
smooth.
smooth.
Yeah, sounds it.
Very charming. Perfect salesman.
Yeah.
Perfect salesman. Honestly, he knows how to talk. And I was like, thank you. Gave him a hug and a kiss. And he's like, oh, because I haven't had a shower yet. He goes, do you want a glass of wine before, we go? I was like, yeah, sure. And then he went, had his shower. I was in his lounge room sitting down. And then the date that I was supposed to go on rang me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Rang me. And he was like, I feel better. He goes, how about we have brunch tomorrow?
Oh, okay.
I was like,
I
okay.
thought you were going to say, why don't you join me?
Yeah. Oh,
Join
God, no,
us
babe. It's too late. Like, that ship has sailed now.
Yeah.
Like, it's, I've made plans. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then Mr. White gets out of the shower all dressed and all ready to go. And I was like, oh, so-and-so rang me. He's feeling better and we're going to meet up for brunch tomorrow. His face turned. And then I thought, oh, it's too late to back out of this dinner now.
Right.
Like, I'm here. When I saw his face, I thought...
Were you wanting to back out of the dinner or no? Were you just telling him about the date because he had already known about the date?
Exactly, because I didn't...
It was just
You
friends,
didn't think anything
right?
of it.
I just thought, I looked at him as he's helping my daughter, he's helping me.
He wants to go
He's
out to
our
dinner.
provider now because
Yeah.
he's helping us.
Yeah.
I didn't... And when I saw his face like that, I thought, oh, no. You know as a woman.
Yeah.
There's more to it.
There's more to it. You just know. Because, anyway, then he gives me the keys to his car. Just looked at him, I go,
Oh, he
God,
wanted
we're
you to
going-
drive?
I drove.
What?
I drove, right? I go, why am I driving? Because I'm just tired. Do you reckon you could drive? He goes, have you driven an AMG before? I just looked at him. I was like, yeah, I have. Who says that?
Yeah.
Who says that?
Yeah.
I'm not 18.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, I was like, okay, so we're in the car, we're chatting, and he's very close. I don't know. Have you guys been in AMG? How it's so huggy, the seats, and it's quite, compact, like you're close. And he's talking to me. He's like, I was, my second marriage didn't work out, and he's ranting, right?
Right.
She just didn't appreciate me, and I'm just looking at him thinking, okay, talk, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk. And I said, how old was she again? 28. I just looked at him and I went, you realise she used you for the visa? Because they met overseas, right?
Yeah.
He's like, no, she was in love with me. I go, okay. Really? I'm very, Nadine, you know me.
Yeah.
Kayla, you just met me.
Yeah.
I'm brutally honest.
I love that.
Okay. I don't butter things up. I
Yeah.
say how it is.
Yeah.
Obviously, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm thinking he's going to be a friend. I was like, I'm going to tell
That's
you
right.
straight
Tell
out.
you how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 years, come on.
Yeah.
For love.
Yeah.
That's love.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well.
I could be wrong. Maybe she did fall in love with him because of his charm. And I don't know. It could be.
Charm.
Anyway.
Didn't she run away?
She left him. She left him. I met him the first time the week
Couldn't be the
of-
charm.
Absolutely not now when you think about it. But I met him the week of her walking out on him.
Oh.
She says she's taking her son to school and didn't come back.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
she
this
ran
poor
away.
woman has only been in this country for probably a year.
Wait, did she even get the visa?
I have no idea. No one has seen her, heard about her.
Wow.
Nothing. Don't know, right? And isn't it amazing how he got her here in 2-3 months? 2-3 months. How is that possible, babe? Unless you're paying for it. You
But even
cannot.
then, you can't
Not that quick. Come on, this is immigration, guys. No chance you're going to get here in 2-3 months. It's not happening. They got married within 4 months, babe.
She probably was on some special visa. She wasn't on a visitor visa. And
No,
look,
she
I don't
was
know
on a
anything about
sponsor
immigration.
visa, something along the lines of partnership visa or something. I
And
don't
this
know.
is what you're getting
right.
told, right?
This is what I'm getting told, right?
Yeah.
They got married, mind you. Anyway, so she left him and he's talking about that. And then he started talking about this Colombian woman to me. In the back of my head, I'm thinking, I already know about this Colombian because she's a prostitute.
Oh.
Yeah. Mr. White loves his prostitutes, right?
Right.
And then he goes to me, I'm going to tell you something, but, she wanted to be with me, but she's a prostitute. And I just looked at him.
And this is you guys in the car
driving to the city, right?
the
To have
first
dinner.
time.
First time.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him. So he's telling me some sort of truth.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him. I go, you took a prostitute out on a date? He goes, yeah. You already paid her. We're like, why are you taking her on a date? To feed her? For what? For what? No, come on. Seriously, guys. I'm not trying to be demeaning or mean or funny, but
Facts.
it's facts, right? She's a prostitute. This is her job. She sleeps with you for money and drugs. Okay? That's what they do. Please, prostitutes, I am so sorry. Don't get offended. But it's the truth.
If that's what you do for work, no judgment.
No judgment. But you do sleep with men for money.
Well, it's their job.
their
Yeah, it's your job.
Yeah.
Anyway. And I remember his face turned. I said, she's a prostitute. Anyway, we get to dinner. It was lovely. We had Japanese at Hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm noticing that.
What a place to take somebody for your first time, though.
Interesting choice,
Hemisphere.
right?
It is a very interesting choice.
Yeah.
Very, right?
Yeah.
Anyway. So we got this
I'd
set
rather
menu.
someone take me to El Jannah.
Yeah.
100%.
hemisphere.
Yeah, I
first
would have
time.
loved it. I love El Jana. I'll eat that every day.
Yeah.
Give me that tum.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, and then so we got, like a set menu. I don't know about you guys, but if you order a drink, you get one drink at a time, correct?
Was he
This
double
bloke was getting 2 or 3.
Oh.
Chili margaritas.
For you and him, or
No,
just
for
him?
himself.
Oh.
And I was like, okay.
Maybe they were going to take long.
Maybe, could be. I don't know.
So we thought, I'll just order it from now.
And, we were eating. The food was great, except one course we were like both going, eh. It was like an eggy custody. It was horrible. And the conversation's flowing and, we finished our meal. Then we went out to the terrace, we were vaping and stuff. And there was 3 young girls there. And they're looking at me and they're looking at him. They're looking at me, looking at him. And then he turned around and he goes, oh, she's my wife.
About
me.
you?
Yeah. And I'm like, should I play along? I go, yeah, I'm his wife of 20 years. I don't know. Just played along.
Yeah,
with
whatever.
it.
Yeah.
It was playful.
It was playful, right? And these girls are looking at me and she's like, isn't he too old for you? He got so offended because he's that type of person, right? His ego,
Yeah.
another side comes out of him.
Yeah.
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 Anyway, great night and all. And towards the end of the night, gee, I want a relationship with you.
What? Stay tuned, guys, for part 2 of this episode. We'll be back next week chatting more with G.